everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into something really cool. We're talking about one of West Africa's most powerful empires, and their symbol, which was a porcupine. Yeah, a porcupine. And believe me, the story behind this choice is just packed with strength, incredible strategy, and a whole lot of spirit. So, why a porcupine? I mean, it's a great question, isn't it? You think of a mighty warrior empire, and your brain probably jumps to, I don't know, lions, eagles, something fierce, right? But the Asante Empire, they went with the porcupine. And the reason why, well, that's where we get this amazing story that weaves together culture, battlefield tactics, and this incredible enduring resilience. So let's set the scene. For hundreds of years, the Asante were a major powerhouse in the region we now call Ghana. I mean, these guys were known for their incredible wealth, a really complex society, and an army that, frankly, was feared by everyone around them. And right at the center of it all, at the very core of who they were as warriors, was this spiky, kind of unassuming little animal. Okay, so to really get the warrior, you first have to understand the symbol. This wasn't just some random mascot they picked. No. The porcupine's meaning is literally woven into the cultural and spiritual fabric of the Asante people. And this is the key thing to get right here. For the Asante, the porcupine represents the values they held most dear. It's not about being aggressive just for the heck of it. It's about having the strength to defend yourself, the resilience to get through anything, and the raw bravery it takes to protect your community. You know, these values aren't just pulled out of thin air. They're rooted deep in their mythology. In the old legends, the porcupine is actually a sacred creature, connected to powerful gods. It's seen as the smart, resourceful guardian that can protect its home from any threat. So you can see why it became such a powerful spiritual symbol for them. And this wasn't just some abstract idea, you know? It was something you could see and touch in everyday life. You'd find the porcupine in their adinkra symbols, which are these cool visual representations of proverbs, and even woven into the incredible patterns of their famous kente cloth. They were literally turning fabric into stories of strength and defiance. All right, so they've got this powerful cultural symbol, but how does that actually translate to the battlefield? Well, this is where the metaphor gets very, very real. Let's do a super quick history lesson, just for context. The empire pops up in the late 1600s, quickly becomes a major player, and has this golden age for a couple of centuries before they start running into the British. And through that whole time, their military skill was absolutely legendary. And look, the Asante army wasn't just a random group of guys. It was a finely tuned, highly organized machine. You had the apem, these are your seasoned, battle-hardened veterans at the core. Then the Asante, the young, fast warriors leading the charge. And then you have the Nifa and Benkum, the right and left wings pulling off these brilliant flanking moves. Every single unit had a job, and they all worked together with just incredible discipline. And this is where it all clicks. This is where the symbol becomes the strategy. The Asante military was basically a human porcupine. Think about it. The animal's sharp quills, that inspired them to use fortified positions, sharp obstacles, and traps. The porcupine's tough, sturdy body, that became a blueprint for their resilient battle formations that were almost impossible to break. Man, their strategies were just a masterclass in being flexible. They were total experts at guerrilla warfare, using the forest for ambushes and hit-and-run attacks. Then they'd deploy those flanking wings to completely surround and overwhelm the enemy. And just when the opponent was confused and weakened, bam, they'd unleash a massive frontal assault with their main army. It was this brilliant, multi-layered, and super intelligent way of fighting. And get this, the warriors didn't just fight like the porcupine, they looked like it too. They'd carry shields decorated with porcupine designs, and their helmets and uniforms would have these quill-like decorations. Think about the psychological impact of that. It was totally intimidating for their enemies, but for their own soldiers, it was a huge source of inspiration and a reminder of their shared identity. So, the formal Asante Empire as a political entity might be in the history books, but the legacy of the Porcupine Warrior? Oh, it is very much alive and kicking. Let's take a look at how this powerful symbol is still around in the modern world. There's this fantastic Asante proverb that just perfectly captures the whole porcupine spirit. Asem ayeden aha, na ayeden pa. Basically, it means, when the matter is difficult, it is very difficult. I love that. It's not trying to sugarcoat things. It's just a straight-up recognition that some problems are just hard. like trying to pick up a porcupine. It's a call to just dig in, persevere, and be resilient when life throws its sharpest obstacles at you. And today, in modern Ghana, that porcupine warrior spirit is absolutely thriving. You can see its influence pretty much everywhere you look. It's in art and music that celebrates bravery. It's in fashion, with designers using porcupine motifs. It's a huge part of cultural festivals, and it's still a really important piece of community identity that brings people together. So, what can we take away from all this? Well, the story of the Porcupine Warriors really leaves us with some timeless lessons, doesn't it? It teaches us to face challenges head on, with our quills out. It reminds us to protect our own heritage, to find strength in our communities, and to lead with courage. Those are values that are just as relevant today as they were back in the 18th century. And that kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about. The Asante people found their ultimate symbol of strength in the porcupine. It really makes you stop and wonder, right? What are the symbols in our own cultures, in our own lives, that represent that same kind of unbreakable, resilient spirit?